Hey everyone! If you've been waiting for news about stimulus checks, I have some breaking information that could change everything for millions of Americans. And I mean immediately, not months from now. Not after endless political debates, but as soon as certain conditions are met. I'm talking about emergency relief payments that could go out within days if specific economic triggers are hit. I spent hours reading through the latest congressional reports and economic proposals so you don't have to. And what I found will surprise you. Some of you watching this could see money in your accounts faster than you think. But here's the thing. It's not guaranteed for everyone, and there are specific groups who would get priority. Stay with me because I'm going to break down exactly who qualifies, what needs to happen, and most importantly, what you need to do right now to make sure you're ready. Before we dive in, for those who are new here, I'm someone who's been covering financial relief programs for families like ours for years. I read every boring government document, every economic report, every congressional proposal, so you don't have to wade through hundreds of pages of policy jargon. I get it because I've been there, checking my bank account multiple times a day, wondering when help might come. That's why I do this work, and that's why I'm here today with information you won't find simplified anywhere else. So here's what's actually on the table. According to the Economic Recovery Preparedness Act that's been quietly making its way through committee hearings, there's a provision for automatic stabilizer payments, essentially stimulus checks, that would trigger immediately when specific economic conditions are met. The goal isn't just to provide relief after a crisis hits, but to prevent families from falling into deeper financial holes while we're already struggling. Think of it as economic insurance that kicks in automatically. The proposed amounts are significant: $1, $200 for individuals, $20,400 for married couples, and $600 per dependent child. But here's where it gets interesting. Certain vulnerable groups would receive enhanced payments of up to $1,800 per person. Now, I know what you're thinking. We've heard promises before, but this is different because it's designed to be automatic. No waiting for Congress to debate for months. No political back and forth. If the economic triggers are hit, the money goes out within 72 hours. Let me be really clear about who would be prioritized because this matters. The legislation specifically calls out several groups for immediate processing. Single mothers and fathers. If you're raising kids on your own, you're at the front of the line. The report acknowledges that single-parent households have been hit hardest by economic instability, with many still struggling to recover from previous economic downturns. Veterans and military families, there's specific language about ensuring our service members and veterans receive expedited processing. If you've served our country, this legislation recognizes you shouldn't have to wait. People with disabilities, the enhanced payment amounts I mentioned, those are specifically designed for individuals receiving disability benefits, recognizing that you often can't just work more hours when times get tough. Unemployed workers, if you're currently receiving unemployment benefits or have been unemployed within the last 6 months, you're flagged for priority processing. Seniors on fixed incomes. If you're receiving Social Security, SSI, or other retirement benefits, you'd be included in the automatic distribution system. But here's what's really important. Even if you don't fall into these priority categories, you could still qualify for the standard payments if you meet the income requirements. The income thresholds are similar to previous stimulus rounds. Individuals earning under $75,000 and couples under $150,000 would receive full payments. Now let's talk about what needs to happen for these payments to actually go out. This is where it gets really specific, and I want you to understand exactly what triggers we're looking for. The automatic payments would trigger when any combination of these economic indicators hit certain thresholds. First, if unemployment claims increase by more than 15% over a 4-week period nationally. We're not there yet, but we're closer than many people realize. Second, if inflation on essential goods, food, housing, energy rises above 6% for 2 consecutive months. We've already seen this happen with groceries and rent in many areas. Third, if there's a significant stock market decline that affects retirement accounts, specifically if the major indices drop more than 20% from their recent highs and stay there for more than 10 trading days. Fourth, and this is important for many of you watching, if there's a major disruption to employment in specific sectors. The legislation mentions retail, hospitality, and healthcare as sectors that could trigger automatic payments if job losses reach certain levels. The report states, rather than waiting for political consensus during a crisis, these automatic stabilizers will provide immediate relief to American families when economic data shows it's needed most. What's different this time is that the Treasury Department would be required to begin processing payments within 72 hours of any trigger being met. No congressional vote needed, no presidential signature required, it's automatic. Here's some genuinely good news that I think will surprise you. The infrastructure for getting these payments out quickly already exists and has been significantly improved since the last round of stimulus payments. The IRS has updated their system specifically for rapid distribution. If you've received previous stimulus payments via direct deposit, you're already in the system. If you filed taxes in 2023 or 2024, your information is current and ready. Even better, the legislation includes provisions for people who don't normally file taxes. If you receive Social Security, SSI, veterans benefits, or other federal benefits, you'd automatically be included without having to do anything extra. For those who had problems with previous payments, maybe you moved, changed banks, or had other issues, there's a new simplified update system. You'd be able to update your information online within minutes, not weeks. The report also mentions partnerships with community organizations, credit unions, and local banks to help people who don't have traditional bank accounts. This means even if you've been excluded from previous programs, there are more ways to receive payments this time. Now, I need to be honest with you about the challenges because I'm not here to give you false hope. While this legislation has bipartisan support in committee, which is rare these days, it still needs to pass both houses of Congress. The good news is that it's being framed as economic preparedness rather than partisan relief spending. Even fiscally conservative lawmakers are supporting it because it's designed to prevent larger economic problems rather than just responding to them after they happen. But here's the reality. Even with support, legislative processes take time. The earliest this could become law is probably late 2025, which means we're looking at 2026 before these automatic triggers could actually work. However, there's discussion about implementing some provisions earlier as pilot programs in states that are most affected by economic instability. If you live in areas with higher unemployment or cost of living issues, your state might be selected for early implementation. The other challenge is funding. While the automatic triggers are designed to be smart about when money goes out, Congress still needs to appropriate the funds upfront. The current proposal suggests setting aside $400 billion for these automatic payments, which sounds like a lot, but would only fund about 3 rounds of full payments. So, what can you actually do right now while we wait for this to potentially become reality? I have some practical advice that will help you regardless of whether these payments ever materialize. First, make sure your information is current with the IRS. If you moved, changed banks, got married, had kids, or had any major life changes, file your 2024 taxes as soon as possible when tax season opens. This ensures you're in the system with current information. Second, if you don't have a bank account, now is the time to open one. I know banking fees can be frustrating, but many credit unions and community banks offer free checking accounts. Having direct deposit capabilities could mean getting payments weeks faster than waiting for paper checks. Third, keep documentation of your current situation. If you're unemployed, receiving disability benefits, caring for dependent, or dealing with financial hardship, keep records. While these automatic payments are designed to be simple, having documentation never hurts. Fourth, stay informed about your state's economic conditions. Remember, some states might be selected for pilot programs. If your state has higher unemployment or is dealing with specific economic challenges, you might see relief sooner. Finally, and this is important, don't wait for government help to take action on your financial situation. Look into local resources, community programs, and assistance that's available right now. I'll put links in the description to help you find resources in your area. Look, I want to end on a realistic but hopeful note. We've been through a lot economically as a country, and many of you watching have been personally affected by job losses, rising costs, and financial stress that just won't seem to end. While I can't promise that these automatic stimulus payments will definitely happen or when they might arrive, I can tell you that there are people in Washington who understand what you're going through and are working on real solutions. The fact that this legislation is being designed as automatic economic stabilizers rather than emergency political responses tells me that lessons have been learned from previous crises. The goal is to help families before they fall into deeper financial holes, not after. Whether or not these specific payments materialize, the conversation about automatic relief during economic downturns is gaining momentum. That's progress, even if it's slower than we'd like. If this information was helpful, please subscribe to stay updated on developments with this legislation. I'll be following the committee hearings and will update you as soon as there's news about timeline or changes to the proposal. Also, check out my other recent videos about financial assistance programs that are available right now. I've covered everything from utility assistance to food programs to housing help that you might be eligible for while we wait for broader relief. And please share this with anyone who might benefit from this information. The more people who know about these potential programs and stay prepared, the better we all do when relief becomes available. Drop a comment below if you have questions about anything I covered today. I read every comment and often turn your questions into future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one with more information you need to know about financial relief and resources for families like ours.